Hello, my name is Sofie from Fia Lotte Jansson Design, and this is the second video in our lettering series with Personal Planner. In this second video we're going to look at block letters, both traditional, rounded, old school, block letters with shade and playful letter forms. And block letters are letters that have a space that you can fill with color or a pattern. And you can create this block letter in two steps. First, you start with the simple skeleton letter. Second step is you trace a new contour around the skeleton. So I'll start on the outside, trace like that, and on the inside of the skeleton as well, in the openings. And then I erase the skeleton letter. It's good to have an eraser that is a bit sharper. You can fix that by just cutting a normal eraser and get this sharp edge. Alright, like that. Now I have a block letter. And now I can color it or draw a pattern inside of it. We have different styles we're going to make with block letters. And I'll start with the traditional. And the same method as I did on the B, I just trace around the skeleton. And try to make as even lines as possible. Okay, these are very traditional letter forms, block letter forms, because they resemble very much the skeleton letter. Let's make a bit different. Let's make more rounded corners and rounded letter forms. So if I write rounded and I trace around, then I just round the corners instead of making them square. Alright, these are a bit softer and more rounded and feel a bit different than the more traditional traced letter. The next style I'm gonna draw is when you add pattern on the outside of the block letter, and then you erase the contour of the block letter to make an effect. I'll show you. I'll start the skeleton letters like that outside, because we're gonna draw on the outside of the block letters. Nice, and then I block them both on the outside and the inside of the skeleton. Maybe you want to start by drawing some bubbles around. I'm actually going to change my pen now because I need to erase the block letters. Might make stars on the outside. And then I'll erase my block letters. And I can see the word inside the pattern. We're gonna make shaded letters, like that. And I'll make blocks of the skeleton letters, but quite thin blocks. And then I'll color this one and try to fill it as good as possible out the outer contours of the block letter, like that. And now I'm going to play with shadow, and I can have a light coming from this side hitting my letters from the left, or I can have a light hitting my letters from the right, or either up from the upside or from below and up. And I'm going to use this light right now, and this light will make a shadow on the right side of my letter. And if a light hits my letter like this, then the shadow will be on this side like that, and a bit on there. Okay, now we're gonna do old school block letters. And if I write the word old, I'm gonna put serifs on these letters. And serifs are extra legs and feet and arms sticking out from the skeleton letter, like that. You don't have any serifs on O, that's just a round form shape. But on these endings, you have serifs sticking out like that. Alright, now I'm going to trace around this. The reason I call these old school letters is because these are the letter forms you can find on vintage sport jackets and things like that. So that's why I call them old school. Just gonna make this one bigger. Drawing, erasing and refining is part of the process, and nothing gets perfect immediately, but it's all about the process and the play. So just have fun drawing. Don't expect a perfect result, but the more you draw, the more you find your way how to draw a letter, and the more satisfied you will be with the results. Alright, now I'm going to erase the skeleton, and then I'm going to draw a new contour inside of the block letters. So it'll become like a frame around the letter. To be able to get a good result, I'm taking it pretty slow right now. No sudden moves. I'm trying to be as controlled as possible. And it might feel like it takes a lot of time, but the result will be better. It's sometimes hard to draw vertically or straight downwards, but you might be better at one of them. I know I'm better at making a straight line when I'm drawing a downstroke, but if I need to make a horizontal line, I turn my paper so I can draw downwards, and that way I get a straight line. So don't be afraid to move your paper around to get a good result and to make it easier for yourself to draw. Okay, we're gonna do a final lettering style, and I call that the playful style. If I, for instance, write space. Now, if I would trace a block letter traditionally, I would go all the way around my skeleton. But in this case, I want it to look like an S. I want to read it as an S, but it doesn't look like a traditional S. So here I'm making instead 2 half circles facing like that, just to resemble the 2 half circle shapes on the S. And then I erase the skeleton, and I have a letter form that reads like an S but doesn't look like a traditional S. I think this is kind of fun, and I'm gonna make the rest of the letters. The E I'm gonna turn around a bit or make look like it's not a traditional E, but I need 3 steps that remind me of these 3 lines, and I've come up with this shape form that feels like an E to me. And if I flip this one upside down, I'll get an F, for instance. And if you want a G, a C, this one looks like a Pac-Man, and if I have a G, I'm gonna turn it a bit to get the opening facing a bit upwards, and then I have the characteristic G bar here, like that, so it resembles a G more. Like that. Have fun playing with these letter forms. If you want to add character to letters you draw in your planner, for instance, you can either do a snowy block letter or a melting block letter. And here's how you do it. You start with your skeleton, and then you block it. And for a snowy effect, I put a lot of dots at the bottom of the letter inside this block letter. Start quite intensely by dotting intensely, and then I make them less and less frequent, like that. And then I try to leave a frame of white in between the block letter wall and the snowy effect. And to add a melting effect to your letter, start by tracing the skeleton, and then I trace the block letter, and then I just draw like something's dripping off the end. Like that. Maybe some extra chunks of melted substance over there. Like that. And then I can color it in. So for instance, if you want to add snow to December and spring melting March, like that, you can do so. Or if you want to make some effect on your Halloween letters, you may do like this. Then I've traced around with my pigment liner, and I'll just add some red. Like that.